is where spirituality complements science. They are not contradictory disciplines. Spirituality is the science of human consciousness itself. You can actually penetrate into the core of the human personality and tap your powers from there. And this is the spiritual approach. It complements the purely objective approach. With a purely objective approach, you will not get a comprehensive knowledge of the whole event, because the subjective consciousness is there. It plays an important role in any act of perception. So this is where spirituality complements science. That is why it is defined, spirituality is defined as the science of human consciousness, and it has its own technology also. Yoga is the technology of it, the actual methodology you adopt in order to arrive at spiritual truth. So you see, we must not go home with the idea that these two disciplines are contradictory or they have nothing in common. They are convergent, in fact. They are convergent, and both of them have a very broad, rational platform to stand upon. They are very scientific. If you read Vivekananda's interpretation of spirituality, you will see it's a very scientific discipline. It's rational, it's reasonable, and it's universal. Any truth is always universal. It is not restricted to any particular ethnic group. And Vivekananda was the first spiritual stalwart to say, it is better that mankind become atheist by believing in reason than become superstitious by believing in the authority of somebody you don't even know. So you see how scientific the whole thing is. As we continue with our classes, BSc classes, you will actually be able to draw laws of higher consciousness from the spirituality of Vivekananda, from the literature in his books. It is actually a very scientific discipline. And it is also good for you to know that these two disciplines, science and philosophy, they are not just not contradictory, but they actually help each other. Because you see, if you read the history of science, all the initial advancements in science, the initial discoveries and inventions were all made by philosophers after the awakening in Europe. Why were they made by philosophers? Because the source factor for both these disciplines is the same, is a subtle, rational, intellectual human mind. From that arises philosophy, from that arises science. So even today your PhD degree means doctorate of the philosophy of this subject. So both of these have a common source, and we must understand where and how they overlap. Now let me focus, this is giving you the general utilitarian view of spirituality. But since there are a number of young people here, let me also focus on where our young people can utilize spiritual principles. First of all, you see, a spiritual outlook will help you integrate your personality. What does integration of personality mean? Now, we all have three faculties. We think, we feel, and we act. Many times, these three are not in line with each other. It's a common problem. We may not feel what we think, and we may not act according to our thought and feeling. Let me give you a common example. Suppose you decide to get up at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. I know IITians are nocturnals. They don't get up very early. You stay up late, but suppose someday you decide to get up at 5 o'clock. What happens is you set the alarm very sincerely at 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock it rings, and then you jump up and shut the alarm and say, I studied till 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. at night. How can I get up at 5 o'clock? And then you go back to sleep and you get up at 7 o'clock. Now you see what has happened here. Your thoughts told you, you must get up at 5 o'clock. It's good to get up. Your emotion at 5 o'clock told you, no, it's bad to get up. And your action carried you till 7 a.m. You were happily sleeping. So this is what is called thought, feeling, and action in variance, not in tune with each other. Now this exhausts a lot of your energy, whether you know it or not. Spiritual principles will help you integrate these different faculties in your own personality. I think, what I think, accordingly I feel. What I feel, accordingly I act. When I do that, I conserve a lot of energy. And this is what is called holistic development. You become an integral whole, and you can achieve any goal with this kind of a personality. So this is one great usage for young people. Then another one is, you see, spirituality will actually help you boost your IQ and EQ levels. IQ is intelligence quotient, EQ is emotional quotient. Now today we define intelligence as a multidimensional something. It's not just logical analysis. IQ is your logical analytical coefficient, but EQ is the ability to actually ennoble, balance your emotions, to integrate your emotions into your being, to ennoble your emotions and draw their energies for higher purposes. So are you able to do that? That plays a major role in any success in life, a high EQ. It is only your SQ, your spiritual ability, which will boost both these. Otherwise, there will be a lopsided development. You see, even in ordinary life, there are many things which can be understood not through your logical analysis. Take, for example, somebody has given this example, but I thought it is appropriate to quote it here. The example of a joke. If you logically analyze a joke, does the joke remain a joke? The logical analysis of a joke retains all the characteristics of the joke except its laughability. So when the laughability factor is not there, the joke is no longer there. So many things in life are like that. You cannot rely just on a logical, analytical intellect in order to understand that thing. So to be able to understand things in perspective, to be able to understand things using more ulterior forms of knowledge, that is also an ability. It comes through spiritual development. So your spiritual outlook will help boost your EQ levels also. And then spirituality helps you increase intuition and creativity levels. All your scientific discoveries, they have been a result of intuition. It is a superior kind of knowledge in which the conscious mind is suppressed for some time and original thoughts bubble up from the subconscious. You must have heard of the discovery of benzene molecular structure. Many of you would have heard of it. You see, when Kekule was, for days and days he pondered what could be the molecular structure of benzene molecule. And then he was exhausted, and then one day he just dozed off. And then he had a dream in which he saw a snake biting its own tail. So then it suddenly struck him, the cyclic structure. This must be the structure of benzene. So C6H6 actually has that structure. So you see, this is intuition. It comes unawares, but it can be developed by integrating your personality. Spirituality helps you do that. Also creativity levels, out-of-the-box thinking, original thinking. All this depends on how much you have been able to control your mind and raise your mind to higher levels of awareness. So this is where spirituality plays a major role. Don't take it lightly, it's very important. And then the fourth usage for young people is, it will boost your self-confidence levels. This is also very important in life. There are so many workshops nowadays on self-confidence. But let me tell you the simple formula for self-confidence. It is only when you do the right thing at the right time that your reliability coefficient increases. And that builds your self-confidence. Many times we know what is the right thing to do, but we are unable to do it. But this ability to do it, stick to what is right, that gives you self-confidence. Vivekananda says, you see, no nation is good or great because parliament enacts this or that, but because basically its men are good and great. So how to generate this level of character, this level of a higher will, a higher purpose in life? It will come through a spiritual outlook. Then the fifth important contribution of spirituality is, as we already discussed, it complements scientific discipline. There are certain areas in science, gap areas you can say, where the only solution can be found through a subjective research. Like for example, consciousness studies. This is a major area of interest in many universities, especially in the US. Arizona University is doing a lot of research on this. And do you know what their reference books are? Upanishads and Patanjali Yoga Sutras. We maybe are not studying them at that depth, but they are studying because it's an important area of interest for them, consciousness studies. Very many wonderful problems, questions are cropping up there. Maybe we will have a chance to discuss them in the VSC. So this is an important contribution of a spiritual outlook, that it will help it will give you a more comprehensive knowledge about whatever you are following. Because in any act of perception, the subject plays a major role. If there is absolutely no idea, no study of the subject, your knowledge will be very partial, obviously. So this is regarding the filling up the gap areas in science. And then there are enormous health benefits of spirituality, which of course you know, Ramdevji has popularized them. You see, most of our health problems are psychosomatic in nature. Psych means mind, soma is body, cells. So the effect of the mind on the body, your diabetes and all kinds of ulcers, hypertension, high blood pressure, asthma, insomnia, stress, all these are purely psychosomatic in nature. Some enormous complex in the mind, the body is not able to take it. So the effect is in the form of symptoms, disease symptoms. So you see, what happens is with spirituality, spirituality is about clearing the clutter in your consciousness. When you do that, the mind naturally becomes clear. So many of these little problems, especially the problems of health, automatically get solved. Remember this, that unlawful thoughts will naturally result in decay of tissue, healthy tissue. And good thoughts, noble thoughts, thoughts of help, thoughts of service, thoughts of compassion will clothe the body with not just health, with also with youth, with beauty. This is the effect of the mind on the body. So this is a very important beneficial aspect of spirituality. And then spirituality helps you counteract what are called existential problems. Young people may not be aware of existential problems, but this is a set of problems which crop up sometime or the other in every man's life, in every life. It's like this. They don't have an external cause. The causes are all internal. They are to do with the mind. For example, your irrational fears and anxieties, the fear of death, deeper questions about life, unfulfillment, meaninglessness in life, how to counteract all these, how to find a solution for all this. For this, the only solution, because you see the problem is not outside of your mind, the solution also is not outside, it's all within. You have to go a little inside, you have to introvert your energies to find solutions for this problem. This is where spirituality also plays a major role. This is an important philosophy, it's called existentialism. Here, spirituality will help you overcome these problems. Another major area where spirituality has an important role is countering social problems. You see, crime and delinquency, they are directly related to the sublimation of negative instincts in human beings, like lust, anger, hatred. So in spirituality, this is what we study. How to convert negative emotions into positive emotions, how to draw their energy for useful purposes. Vivekananda used to say, you can fill the whole country with asylums and hospitals and multiply your police force infinitely, but nothing will happen until man's nature changes. So how to change that nature? How to create great character? How to create a great noble mindset? This is the fort of spirituality. This is where spiritual principles will truly help you. And then there are youth problems which you know best. There is this attention deficit disorder, common problem, ADD. Of course, IIT group might not be suffering from ADD, I'm sure. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. But outside, many students suffer from this attention deficit, lack of concentration, fragmented thinking, fractured thoughts. With this kind of a mindset, you can't achieve success anywhere in life. So how to remedy this situation? How to develop concentration of mind? How to develop steadiness of thinking? So all these are, special methodologies for all these are there in books like Patanjali Yoga Sutras. You know, they are the pride of Western scholars. So we can also draw a lot from them if we are truly serious. So this is one common problem for students. Another second most important problem is stress. All of us are, in some measure, some degree, we are suffering from stress. Somebody has very beautifully put it, you know, what stress is about. He says, I think it's Eisenhower, he says, the way to de-stress yourself is to resign from the post of the general manager of the universe, which we have assumed. Many of us have assumed we are general managers of the universe. We are in charge of so many things. So how to relax this? And if you resign from that position, do the action detachedly. This is the idea. Then naturally you are able to overcome stress. So there are many such important ideas, many factors involved in bettering human life, in bettering the human experience. So this you will find, the solutions for this you will find in spirituality. And then there is goal orientation. It's an important problem, even for Western students, it's an important problem. You see, just now you have an immediate goal. Maybe your MTech degree or your PhD is your immediate goal. But what after that? A long-term goal which will bring genuine fulfillment to life. This is everybody's search. So how to actually understand this goal and how to direct your energies towards it? This is another important aspect of spirituality, goal orientation. And then there is what is called decision making, how to make the right decisions. So many things will be involved, you see, and we are so confused at that point of time when we have to make a very major decision. So then how to decipher, how to find out what would be the right decision. So all these also will be under discussion. So you see, the purpose of spirituality is this, to bring out the best within you, to bring out your own excellencies, to develop a great character, to develop a service-minded outlook, to enrich your own life, to tap your own potential. So it is actually, you see, man-centered, and it aims at improving the quality of human life. It has not much to do with the mumbo-jumbo of popular religion. We have perverted the whole thing in such a way, now we are confused as regards what religion is. But with Vivekananda literature, you will be able to understand the actual essential, the core, the kernel of religion, which is spirituality. And if you adopt that, it fulfills the purpose of religion. This is the idea. Also, you will be interested to know that many educational institutions of higher learning in India, they bear the Vivekananda touch. When Vivekananda was sailing for the first time to the US in 1893, one of his co-passengers was Jamshedji Tata. And Tata was going to England to bring steel science into India. And they met in the ship, and they were very happy with the conversation they had, because Vivekananda also very much wanted science to come into India. He wanted educational institutions in science streams to be set up, and they had a very enlightening conversation in which Jamshedji gave his views, and Vivekananda also was very happy about that. Only Vivekananda wanted a combination of science streams along with this, our glorious spiritual heritage, so that the best comes out. And Jamshedji also believed in that. So when he was actually back in India, in Mumbai, and he started the first indigenous steel manufacturing, he invited Vivekananda to guide the project, to be the director of the project. But of course, Vivekananda had to refuse. But you see, the institutions which sprung up from that, like CSIR sprung up first, Council of Scientific and Industrial Research in 1942. After that came Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore in 1944. After that came TIFR, Tata Institute of Fundamental Sciences in 1945. From that arose ISRO. So you see, all these institutions, they bear Vivekananda's touch. He was very much for all this, but he wanted this combination of knowledge, high-level science combined with our glorious spiritual heritage, which will give you the very best in life. This was his dream. I am sure you will help in achieving his dream. Let me conclude by giving you a passage from Vivekananda's great biographer. One of his biographers was a French savant, Nobel Prize winner called Romarola. He writes in his biography, "From the flames of his pyre has arisen anew the conscience of India." What a beautiful sentence. If you can take something of Vivekananda into your own lives, get inspired by his thoughts, his high idealism, and actually enhance your life, the quality of your life through his words, then I think you will be the conscience keepers of India tomorrow. You will be the conscience keepers of the nation. You will be the conscience keepers of the world. This is the need of our times. Conscientious individuals, great in heart, great in hand, great in work capacity, great in intellect, greatest in spirituality. This is the need of our times. So I wish you all the best, and I pray that Vivekananda give you the strength to justify this faith which he has placed in you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for those inspiring words. Our next speaker for the evening is Mr. Sankar Sen. He's an ex-IPS officer, has served in the Intelligence Bureau for 7 years, and also as the Additional Director General of the Border Security Force. He was the director of the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel National Police Academy, the premier police institution for training of IPS officers in the country. As the director of the NPA, he was responsible for many innovative changes in the training programs of Indian Police Service officers. On completion of his assignment at the NPA, he joined as the first Director General of National Human Rights Commission. He was instrumental in building up an excellent investigation wing of the NHRC. Mr. Sankar Sen joined the Institute of Social Sciences as a senior fellow in 1999 and is currently heading its human rights wing. At a time when human rights are threatened by terrorism, Mr. Sen's contribution in this challenging area of generating respect of human rights in police, paramilitary forces, and law enforcement agencies in general without diluting his quality of work deserves recognition. I would now like to request Mr. Sankar Sen to kindly enlighten us with his thoughts on the historical importance of Vivekananda.
Respected Divya Pranananda ji, ladies and gentlemen, and dear